the first thing I want to tell you, well, two things. One, thank you so much for coming. And two, please eat our food. Please eat our food. I will be so, if y'all leave tonight with big packages for your family and your kids, you will make me a happy person. Okay? All right, those are the two most important things. The next most important thing is to welcome you to Ideas on Tap, our second time here in Hernando. This is part of a statewide series that's funded by the Phil Hardin Foundation to help foster public discussion about the importance of public education in our communities. We are here in Hernando. Thursday night we'll be in Meridian, so if you really want it, don't come to Meridian. And I want to give special thanks for tonight's program to our friend Tom Pittman from the Community Foundation. He has been instrumental in helping us think through and put the panel together tonight. So thank you, Tom, for that. So you may be asking yourself, what does this have to do with the humanities and the Humanities Council? We are a private nonprofit organization who gets the bulk of our funding from the National Endowment for the Humanities, a federal agency. And much of the work we do is centered around funding and supporting programs that explore our history and culture, especially history and culture here in Mississippi. So you'll notice fans, so we brought some extra air conditioning for you tonight. And you can see three of our great folks from our history and culture, Fannie Lou Hamer, Elvis Presley, and William Faulkner. So a lot of our programs relate to folks like that. But another part of what we do is to try to foster civil discourse. In this time when there's so much divisiveness politically and culturally, we try to find opportunities that folks can come together and talk in a civil manner about the issues that are important to us. So this program tonight is part of that. There is a sign-up sheet when you, because we are really trying and are doing more and more up in this part of the state, up here in DeSoto County. We've done a few of our family reading programs. I came up early today and visited the wonderful museum around the corner, and we're hoping to be able to work with them again in the future. So we're hopeful that if you put your name on that sheet once a month, that's all we use it for, you will get an email that will tell you about all the things we're doing around the state, and hopefully there will be more and more of those things in this part of the state. So if you'd like to stay informed about that, please sign up. And I just have to tell you the truth. About once a year, we send out an email asking for money. It's a year. But it's going to come out in the next few weeks. So if you do sign up and you get it, just know it's not what we normally use it for. But, anyhow, moving on. So Tom asked me to talk a little bit. If y'all were here last time, I gave a much longer, but still short, thumbnail history of public education in Mississippi. And I think Tom wanted me to just go over a few of the hit some of the high points that will help frame our discussion tonight. And the bottom line is that we shouldn't take the idea of public schools for granted. For the first almost 60 years of our state's history, we were not public schools. Right? It was debated, should we create a system of free education for our citizens? And for the first several decades of our state's history, they decided not to, that it wasn't worth spending money on. After the Civil War, that we see the first system of publicly funded schools. And as we know, the schools that were founded in the 1870s were segregated for the next almost century, not until 1970 were they integrated. And so what we had during that time was a poor state trying to fund two separate public education systems. And it wasn't good. The other point is that efforts to improve public education have never been easy. In 1982, there was the Education Reform Act that was passed during the tenure of Governor William Winter, and it's looked back upon as this great achievement. It sort of brought kindergarten, it did all these things that improved education, and everybody, it seems fairly uncontroversial today. It was a tough fight. There's a wonderful documentary film about it called, I think, The Hardest Deal of All. Caroline, is that what it's called?
The hardest deal?
The hardest
deal?
Yeah.
The toughest deal?
The toughest deal. Anyhow, it tells a story. So things we look back and think, oh yeah, easy. of course, no-brainer, kindergarten, who wouldn't support that? It's always been hard. In 1997, in an effort to increase and to make more equitable our system of public education funding, there was the Mississippi Adequate Education Program, MAEP program, which sets forth a formula to helps decide how much of state funding each district gets. Two things you need to know. Adequate was the goal, so not excellent, but adequate. And it's only been fully funded, I believe, 2 times since it's been created. 2 times. So again, so all this to say is that public education, schools, and the communities are not something that we should take for granted. And so I think tonight, the goal was to talk about the importance of public education to a community, economically, culturally, and in every other way. So I want to turn it over to my friend Tom, who will introduce our panel tonight.
Thanks, Stuart. I appreciate it. Thank you all for being here. It's a real honor and a pleasure to be part of this. When Stuart was and Caroline were talking with me about it, so what's going on with the schools and all in DeSoto County? And my thought was, what I've always heard since I've been here for 22 years is public schools are why people are moving to DeSoto County. But they're one of the biggest attractions for our burgeoning population. And you know the story of the population growth of DeSoto County, about 25,000 from 1850 to 1960, and then all of a sudden it goes up to 80,000, 100,000, now 180,000. So we're growing, and our schools have kept up at high quality, now the largest school district in Mississippi. So what's the interaction between those two? And then I know one of the things that's happening so much now in DeSoto County is the emphasis on the community college and career education. And so we're going to try to pull all that together. So the schools and the population and the economic development in DeSoto County, because I don't know what the numbers are right now, but we did have, in the 2010 census, have the highest average household income in Mississippi, which is a good thing. So it's good quality growth, good jobs, and so we've led Mississippi in several different ways in DeSoto County. So I want to explore some of those secrets to success, and then maybe also what are some kind of issues we may be bubbling up that we need to pay attention to at this point. So anyway, that's where we're getting started. I'm surrounded by Cories. Cory Uselton with the DeSoto County School District, and Cory Haynes representing realtors, and then Michael, you and I are the 2 odd guys out. Michael Heindl.
I wish my middle name were Cory.
I was going to change mine. Yeah, but is the new president, still the new president, I guess, of Northwest Community College. So thank them for being here. So maybe take about 5 minutes and just kind of let every person introduce themselves more fully and talk about some of the things that you've got going on that this crowd should know about. And maybe since we're focusing on education, we'll start over here with Cory Uselton about the schools.
Okay. My name is Cory Uselton. I'm Superintendent of Education for DeSoto County Schools. And just like a lot of people who are residents of DeSoto County, I'm a relative newcomer. I say relative newcomer. I moved here in 2001. And so just like a lot of people who moved to DeSoto County, my wife and I were married in 2001, and we wanted to move to a place where we could raise a family and a place with a good public school system, a safe place, churches, businesses, and the whole package. We felt like DeSoto County was that place. I'm originally from Humboldt, Tennessee. Graduated from the University of Memphis with a business degree, which helps when you run a business with a $324 million budget. And then I got my master's degree at Delta State University, and then my specialist degree at the University of Mississippi. Ran for office, Superintendent of Education in August of 2015. That was when it was an elected position. It is now an appointed position. I'm very fortunate to have a great school board that felt confident in me and their confidence in me to appoint me as Superintendent of Education. So now all superintendents in Mississippi are going appointed at this time in 2019, and I actually, when appointed of our board members here with us this evening. We have Ms. Sarah Dawes Thomas, Ms. Sheila Riley, and Ms. Ann Jolly. We also have a Tate County board member here, who is one of our assistant principals, Ms. Melinda White. She's a board member just south of here in Tate County. And as I said, very fortunate to have a very supportive school board, and one that has a vision for DeSoto County schools, that we want to be as successful as we can. We want our students to be as successful as they can in there. We try to be as big of a part of the community as we possibly can, because as we say all the time, we feel that the public schools tie in with the economy, they tie in with the real estate, they tie in with the industry, successful in all of us. So we want the county to continue to flourish, because we feel like we're part of helping it do that, but at the same time, the more the county flourishes, the more we feel like our schools do.
Cory? Introduce yourself. You've been here for a while.
I've been here for a while, yes. I'm Corie Haynes. I am a realtor. I've been a realtor for 20 years, and I'm also the managing broker of Birch Realty Group here in Hernando and Olive Branch, and also Senatobia. I'm also involved in our local association. We have our association executive here tonight, and I'm very involved there. I'm a past president of the association, and I've also been involved for years statewide in state leadership. I'm a former officer and current director on the board of directors at the Mississippi Association of Realtors. So I get to know people all around the state, and when I say that we are tops in a lot of things, and we are looked up to from around the state in many, many ways, and not the least of which are our schools. And I'm very proud of that. Tom mentioned that I've been here for a while. My parents moved us here when I was 9 years old. So I like to tell people that I actually grew up with DeSoto County. When we moved here, there were lots of agriculture, lots of cow pastures, very few roads, 4 schools. And when you went from Horn Lake to Olive Branch or to Hernando for a football game, you were going somewhere. And it, my father had a small business here for years, and he was instrumental in doing a lot of the development and things in the county. So I like to say that I've been involved in the real estate business ever since I was a little girl in one way or the other. But it is, I graduated from Horn Lake High School. I'm not going to tell you when, Miss Jolly, don't say anything, yes, ma'am, you are. I graduated from DeSoto County Schools. Both of my children attended and graduated from DeSoto County Schools. My daughter graduated from Horn Lake just like I did. My son graduated from Hernando, and they've now gone on and gotten their college educations. My daughter actually just got her master's degree, and they had an education that was second to none. And they both attended Northwest before they went on to Mississippi State Ole Miss. But they had just like I did, they had great educations in the school system. And one thing that I can tell you as a realtor is that DeSoto County Schools sells houses in DeSoto County, just like we've all said. When people come in town, the first thing they want to know about is the schools. They want to know the information, and we're always so proud to be able to talk to them about our great schools here and everything that we have going on. And it's a tie-in. We sell DeSoto County every single day. We sell Northwest Mississippi, but I've passed out some information earlier that we'll talk about a little later, in the comparisons between the surrounding counties and DeSoto County, and it's top notch. And it really helps. As realtors, we are community champions, and we're very involved in the community. We do a lot of work, whether it's Heartland Hands or the Humane Society and the Hernando Animal Shelter. There's a realtor involved. If something's going on, there are realtors involved. Conger Park is about to get a major overhaul and rebuilding, and there are realtors there right now who are paying money and sponsoring that, and they'll be there working to do it, and that's what we're so proud of, is being involved in the community.
And good afternoon, everyone. My name is Michael Heindl, the president of Northwest Community College. I've not been here a significant amount of time, unlike the other 2 Cories. But my family and I moved up this way from the Mississippi coast a little over a year ago, and I'd served as a vice president at Mississippi Gulf Coast Community College. Prior to that, as a dean at Haynes Community College, originally from Clinton, Mississippi. And just wanted to share with you a couple of facts about the college really quickly. Your community college is the third largest community college in Mississippi, and so we're very, very proud of that. It is a growing community college. We have enrollment growth this fall. We're excited about that. And some of the major impetus for our growth has been DeSoto County, as you would imagine. Almost half of our enrollment comes from the DeSoto County School District. And we have a great relationship with the DeSoto County Schools, Mr. Uselton. We create pathways, and so he's doing that in the DeSoto County School District. Students are transferring, and after they graduate high school, they're coming to Northwest, and then also being able to follow through on their pathway. If they're one of the two career centers here in the county, they're continuing on, or they're going to work, or they're getting some additional skills with us. The college serves about 7,500 credit students. Again, the third largest community college in the state. We're nipping at the heels of the second largest community college, and that was the community college I came from. And so we are excited about that. I will just share with you from an economic standpoint and the role that the community college has to play in that whole equation is that we have established over a number of years great relationships with the businesses and industries in the county. And so as where before a business or industry may ask a question, if they're seeking to expand or they're seeking to come to the county, they would ask questions like, what's your water and sewer and your infrastructure and your roadways like? What are those things like? But now, over the last few years, they've been asking other questions like, can you train our current workforce or our new workforce? And is there a college that can help do that? And we are that training partner for them, and we can place flexible, quick, short-term training on the ground for those businesses and industries, and we're very, very proud of that. I shared with you all that our college serves about 7,500 credit students, but I want to share with you that we serve about 14,000 non-credit students each and every semester, and we're very, very proud of that because of the fact that we have so many businesses and industry partners, many of which are in DeSoto County. And so we now in the county have for a number of years now, though, had students that would be able to get some college credit while they're in high school, graduate high school, come to the community college, and while they're still here in DeSoto County, can get their bachelor's degrees at the DeSoto Center with the University of Mississippi and also get master's degrees. So we have a full range of educational opportunities which lead to high-paying, high-skilled, middle and high-skill type jobs. And so when we're looking at economic development and what your community college can do, it can certainly help in working with educational partners and our incredible business community. We're able to do just that. We're, again, excited about opportunities in DeSoto County, even with some growth opportunities here in the county. I look forward to maybe talking about those too.
Thank you. One of the things I'd like to ask all of you all to respond to, because it cuts across everybody, is how are our schools paid for? When we met here last time, that was one of the questions people asked is, who pays for these schools? Why can't we do so-and-so? Well, where's the money going to come from for that? So maybe you could start off, Cory, where does your funding come from state and local sources and such? And I think what we're going to find out is that's going to come from taxes. And just respond to what that looks like when you're talking about taxes to homeowners and such.
First of all, we get funding from the state level, and that goes to MAUP, which we alluded to earlier today. And we get funding through local taxes, and then also we get funding through the federal government too for title programs. At some of our schools and title programs that go through Alpha schools as far as staff development and things of that nature. Talking about the local funding, which is something that will tie in with what Cory was talking about earlier too, is our our school district receives money, from the village rates, throughout DeSoto County. We, as a school district, have not asked for any type of millage increase in modern history. And our board members, we talk about this all the time, is we feel like we need to be as conservative as we possibly can with taxpayer dollars. And so every year, we look at the funding that we're gonna have available, from our local taxes, from the state government, and then, the federal is a little bit set aside because it's devoted to certain projects, and we can only spend on certain things. But we look at that, the local and the state money to decide, we need to make cuts in certain areas, or what programs can we enhance with the dollars that are available to us. And a lot of people may not realize this, but, if you were to ask what school district in Mississippi receives the most total money from local taxes, it's DeSoto County, because we have the highest tax base. But if you were to break that down per pupil, we're actually in the bottom half. The last study that was done 3 years ago showed that DeSoto County schools is in the bottom half of the amount of money per pupil that we receive from local taxes. And that's something, honestly, that I know our board members and myself, we make sure that we're as conservative as we possibly can with that money. And so a lot of times people say, oh, DeSoto County schools, they'll have all that money. Well, if you break it down per pupil, we actually don't. It's the fact that we've been conservative, and they've been conservative over the course of time. And we just want to make sure that we're prepared for the future, because, you know, we don't know what lies ahead tomorrow, and we don't know what type of growth we'll see next year, 5 years down the road, but we've got to make sure that we're financially prepared for whatever challenges we face.
Well, it would be fair to say, I think, that you've increased your spending over time as your student body's gone from 22,000 to 34,000, but you've been able to increase that because there's been increased the property base.
Exactly.
So your rates remain the same, but your base has gone up.
Right, the millage rate's the same, but each year we get more money from local taxes because the property values are higher. But at the same time, we also get more money from the state level when our enrollment is higher. And so the two coupled together, our revenues go up and our expenditures go up because we have more students each year. We've been averaging the last 3 years, 500 more students each year, and obviously your expenditures are gonna go up. When we get those 500 students per year extra, we're not getting funding for them. We're getting funding for them the next year. So we're always about 500 students behind. And so once again, we have to be as conservative as we can.
If he ever comes to the board and says, we want to increase that millage tax rate on all the homes you're selling, what will that do? What will that do to homeowners? Will they say, oh, we can't go up any, or what will they say?
Well, I will say that I have never sat with a home buyer and discussed property taxes and had them complain about it. I've never have. When you start comparing property taxes and property values from DeSoto County to the surrounding counties and the Memphis area, it's amazing. The property taxes in Tate County are higher. Property taxes in Marshall County, most often on properties are higher. Property taxes in Memphis are definitely higher. And they don't have the quality education and quality services and things that DeSoto County has. And I've honestly never had a buyer complain about the school tax, the millage rate, anything. And I was actually thinking about that earlier today. You know, when we have the millage increase and they passed, I can remember all that when they did the school tax, as they call it. And, you know, you have people that fight it just like anything else, but the people are gonna support the schools as long as the schools are successful and they're getting the good ratings and the high test scores and the quality education. People want that, and that's why they moved here. And it's just no comparison when you sit down with somebody and they're looking at a house in Senatobia or Coldwater or Holly Springs, and they're looking at a house in Hernando or South Haven, and those property taxes are actually lower than what they would pay in a different county, and the quality of the school is so much better. It's almost mind-boggling.
So, can I ask you a question about that?
Sure.
With the newer
Maybe I
schools, with the newer schools, in Collierville, how would, say, Lewisburg, those areas have the bigger houses and off of Becca Road back up in there, how do they compete with the Collierville area?
Well, I have to be honest, I'm not quite as familiar with Collierville. I don't work in Tennessee, so I'm not as familiar. I do know that the property taxes are considerably higher. I have agents who work up there, and they've talked about the property taxes being higher. And DeSoto County, and especially if you're not in a city where you have the added city taxes and you just have the county and the school tax, you can't even compare it. It's hundreds of dollars, sometimes thousands of dollars less.
So what about the schools? How are they comparing? Just what are you hearing about that? Because the schools, the Collierville schools versus the DeSoto County schools.
Right. Again, I'm not as familiar with the Collierville schools. I know Collierville has great schools, but the thing I do know is that DeSoto County has A+ schools.
Right.
And that's what we sell.
Mhm.
So it's Collierville, if we have somebody wanting to go or comparing, say, going across the state line to Tennessee or staying in Mississippi, most of the time it is comparing to Collierville. But also the property values are so much higher in Collierville, you cannot get the same quality home in Collierville for the money that you can in, say, Lewisburg or Hernando or Nesbitt or South Haven. It doesn't compare. I heard somebody talking today actually in the office that Collierville is seeing some property values for new construction up in the 150 to 160 per square foot range. I don't have any numbers on paper for that, but I did hear them talking about it, and it was an agent who works up there. And compare that to new construction in DeSoto County, which starts around 115, 120, 125, and existing homes generally overall is gonna be a little less than that, depending on what area you're in. So the property values, you can get more house for your money in DeSoto County, you get much better quality of life in DeSoto County than you would when you cross that state line.
So the non-issue of, so no one is actually looking at maybe Tennessee, no income tax, state income tax, they don't look at that, we're just.
No, surprisingly, that does not factor in a lot.
Okay.
We very rarely get that question. It's almost like people don't care. And it's funny because you think they would, but that's almost never a factor when somebody makes a decision. Your number one factor when somebody makes a decision purchasing a home is gonna be your schools and the property values and what they may or may not do in the future.
Thanks, you are such a good realtor. Mike, the community college, how is that funded? I mean, you all have a huge center here with, thank goodness the land was donated by the Ross family, but how are you all funded?
Sure, we're almost a $60 million business, and this business receives some revenues in 3 different ways. The first of which is that 40% of that budget amount comes from state funds. And like Mr. Uselton described, those are about a year in arrears. Because what we do is we receive like this year, we're up in enrollment just a little bit. But because of that, we'll receive the extra funding next year, this time. And so, about, again, 40%, about 50% come from student tuition and fees. We're the closest thing to a educational business where we are watching very closely those fees, those tuition amounts and fee amounts. And we know that every time when we raise tuition, which hasn't been raised in a few years now, and that's good news, but when we raise tuition, we know that could create barriers for students. We are 1/3 the cost of university education for the same first 2 years as a student might receive at university, so we're very, very proud of that. And then 10% comes from the counties that support the college. There are 11 counties that are in the Northwest Community College Service District, which is the largest geographical service district of the 15 community junior colleges in the state. So we're very, very appreciative for counties like Tate and Lafayette and Marshall, and obviously DeSoto County that provide a bulk of the local support that come in to help operate our institution. So operationally and in capital projects, we're able to receive funds from the counties in that way through millage. And that's really how our institution is funded. And I will share with you that over the last number of years, that tuition and fee amount has gone up. It's become a major, much more important piece to that puzzle than the state appropriation amount, which is going down. And so this is a familiar thing that you will probably hear amongst many educational entities, whether that be K-12 or community colleges or universities. So that's why we have to continue to watch very closely and be careful about what we decide to do with tuition and fees. And I'm pleased to report to you all that our board looks at that closely, and we try not to raise tuition unless it's a few years, and then we have to in order to continue to operate. So
We'll go back to one other thing that was mentioned at our last get together like this. It was security. People were concerned about their kids being secure at school, and you don't have to watch very much news to understand why that is. They're just insecure anytime there's groups of people, whether it's in Walmart or wherever it is. But when groups of kids, young people gathering in school every day, there's that question of security. And so the question is and as we don't know each other, as we grow, you knew everybody, you kind of felt more secure. But when there are a lot of folks there that you don't know and maybe weren't there last year, you don't know about them. So little distrust for strangers, friends we haven't met yet. So how do you handle that? I'll start over here again with the schools. Just how do you handle these issues of security while maintaining an element of trust and sense of community, helping people become friends?
Well, we live in a different day and time than we went to school in, and it's completely different. Our students are being brought up in a different world, and I say that with the digital world, social media. And a lot of the concerns that you brought to us about safety and security are through social media. As in the past, you might get a phone call to school during the day or something that might alarm everyone, a few decades ago, and now it could be at 10 o'clock at night, a student puts something on social media that is of a threatening nature, and then everyone's up in arms wondering what's going to happen today at school day, and then police are involved and things of that nature. A lot of times the things that happen through social media are not true. I'd say the majority of things that happen there, somebody will say, well, I heard somebody say that they might, or heard somebody say something. And so a lot of those times those things get generated through Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and Snapchat and all kinds of social media platforms. But we want to be as proactive as we possibly can. And we start out by doing that with our school resource officers. Talking about community and having good relationships is very important. I feel like from my position and also from our board members' position, to have a great working relationship with each of the municipalities, with the mayors, with the board of aldermen, with the board of supervisors, and then that way also have a good working relationship with all of our law enforcement agencies. We work with the 4 municipalities and their law enforcement agencies: Hernando, Horn Lake, South Haven, and Olive Branch. We also work with the DeSoto County Sheriff's Department. So 2 years ago, the funding for those school resource officers, we could apply for an MCOPS grant with the state, and then we would give that, it would come to about $10,000 of support that would go toward each of those municipalities. And so, for example, Hernando had 1 police officer at that time that covered all of the schools. Myself and our board members felt that safety is a priority. I've got 2 children in school myself, and so I view children that go to school in DeSoto County like I do my own, is that I know that as a parent, I feel more secure if there's school resource officers in school, trained law enforcement officials. And so we've worked hand in hand with those agencies, and in the budget that was passed in June of 2017, 2018, our board members approved for each of those 5 entities, 4 municipalities plus the board of supervisors, received $75,000 in funding each from our school district in order to add 1 resource officer more than what they had the year before. And then, so we did that. And then this past year, we did the same thing. Our board members, I went to them about, our board members added another $75,000 each. So that came to $150,000 per year going to each of those 5 law enforcement agencies. And then that, what we're asking with that is when we go to them is asking the mayors and the board of aldermen, okay, we're doing this, can you match us? You know, can you add a little bit to it? We know their budgets are tight also, but we're willing to work together with them with the goal of having 1 at every school eventually. And so right now, we've got better coverage than we've ever had. You may have read locally, the sheriff's department had got every school covered that are in the unincorporated areas. So all the Lake Cormorant schools, all the Center Hill schools, and all the Lewisburg schools, and new Lewisburg schools that we built in a few years. That was one thing before we were even announcing that. I talked to the sheriff and asked, you know, is that something that they can cover? And he said, that's good. And so we work with each of those. Like I said, I look at it as a parent, because I am a parent, and I want to make sure that we're as proactive as we can in what we do to keep our students safe.
As a parent,
Oh,
you feel
yeah.
that?
As a parent, absolutely. I always felt that when my kids were in school, but at the same time, I always felt like our school system did a great job of protecting our kids, and that was always a priority. I've heard Mr. Kirkendall before you, I've heard you say it, that our children's safety is their #1 concern at this time. And we do get people, from a real estate standpoint, we do get people who come in that are moving into the area from other parts of the country or Tennessee or wherever, and they want to know about school safety, they want to know about statistics, they want to know certain things, and we always point them back to the Board of Education. Y'all are always so great to answer questions. I know y'all get a lot of phone calls about that. We always try to send them to the website first, but we always point them back to the Board of Education. We have them call the Sheriff's Department, we have them check out different statistical websites and things like that, as, you know, encourage them to find out the information on their own. And if they're concerned with one thing over another, they need to find that out and make sure that they're comfortable with that before they purchase a home in any certain area.
So we at Northwest are very fortunate in that we have, there are some institutions that do not have that. That's why we're very fortunate at the college to have fully sanctioned, fully licensed police officers that went to the police academy. We have a police chief, assistant chief, investigators. And so at our 5 locations currently, we have police officers. And so, as you would imagine, we have 9 residence halls at the San Antonio campus, fixing to be a 10 residence hall, and 1,069 beds on campus, students living on campus 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And so we're make sure that we have a safe and secure environment. As you would imagine, technology has gotten more cost effective to be able to have the camera systems and the monitoring of the websites and the traffic on the internet and things like that on our campuses. And so we're able to do that even better than we have in the past. And I'll just share with you really quickly. We take training very seriously. I know DeSoto County Schools takes training very seriously. And we do as well at the college, and we're making sure that our employees know what to do in the event of issues that take place on our campuses. And so with that comes a lot of ease amongst our parents who are sending their students to college for the first time, and they're having these very similar questions of us at the college. Before I came to Northwest as president, I had responsibility at the other institution south of here for emergency and safety and security services. And so, you know, we know about what to do, and also we've just gotten great folks at the college. So we take a very similar stance when it comes to safety and security, living in a different world than we have ever lived in, and just being very, very careful and cautious. We're a little different than school districts. However, we can't lock down as easily on college campuses, and so that is why it's ever more important for patrols to take place and the camera systems to be up and running like they need to and things like that. So we do have a behavioral intervention team that meets, that receives reports daily and nightly, and so there is also a watch over all of those things that are taking place on our college campus. So those are some of the things that we're doing at the college.
Thank you. Now let me move into a question that it's just my question, not from the previous one.
Right.
I'm doing a little bit. I was inspired by Stewart's historical research. So I talked to Robert Long at the DeSoto County Museum to do some historical research. And in 1886, how many school districts do you think there might have been in DeSoto County?
Like how many schools?
School districts. There were 35. 35 school districts in DeSoto County. And they started consolidating. And I think every school was a district.
Yeah.
So,
House.
Little one room schoolhouse.
I can even remember growing up in Forest Hill outside Jackson, that it was just one school, but he was called the superintendent, by golly. So I guess that was a school district then. So now we just think of it as natural that DeSoto County be one school district. It's been that way since the 50s or 60s. We never could figure out exactly when that happened. But that's highly unusual in Mississippi. Highly unusual for a county this size to be one school district. Very unusual.
Absolutely.
And I think it's, well, number one, so my question is, do you think that's a good thing? And number two, if you think it's a good thing, how do you, and how would you like to keep it one school district? Because I know there are different school zones now. And so, people are kind of picking which school zone they want to buy a house in and all that, so we're looking at all, we have those issues, even as one school district. So what do you think about having such a large school district? Is it manageable and can you hold it together?
I hear comments about all the time at the state level as far as state leaders look at our school district as something that they would like to see in other parts of the state. You often see two school districts within one county. I could give you example after example. Tate County would be one where you have Smithsonian and Tate, you got Oxford, Lafayette, you got Holly Springs and Marshall. That's just right here in our area. And so honestly, the one county school district is the exception, not the rule in Mississippi. And I personally like it, and I believe our board members do. And the one reason I want to make that is we're all on the same team. And it's, if you, let's say if you had 2 or 3 different school districts within one, and you were each wanting to go to the board of supervisors for this, and you were going to, the mayors and aldermen for different things, it could create division there. I feel we're just very fortunate in our school district too to have, first of all, board members that don't just look out for their zone, they're looking out for the entire school district. They represent the people in that zone, and people can call them, obviously, there. But they also look at the big picture of what makes our county successful. And at the same time, our administrators, Ms. White's an administrator in our district, is everybody works together, and it's a good thing. I mean, our schools are competitive when it comes to test scores and academics, athletics, really anything that can be. But at the same time, they all work together too, because at the end of the day, we all want students to be successful. It's just like myself. I talked to 2 different superintendents today around the state, and it's not like we're trying to hold a secret back about how to educate students, because we want everybody to be successful. But I feel, and personally, I'm biased in the fact that I think the one county, one school district system works really well. And we're fortunate too to have city leaders that we have, the mayors and aldermen, to where they all see the big picture too, and we all work together to become a good county.
And it's highly rated. It's a highly rated school district. I know you can't reveal what was publicized today, but prior to this year, how are you rated? I think Stewart has, Stewart, you can make the announcement.
Well, according to what I saw on the newspapers, it was A-rated again, so congratulations.
I did read that. So.
But not official till Thursday.
Yeah, right. The state board will vote on will approve the test results on Thursday. So, and then we've got a board meeting Thursday also. So usually that's when we present to our board, and I walked in today and everybody's reading. So anyway, but yes, you're right.
Let me get the response, this Cory over
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
What do you think about, and how do people respond when they come here?
Well, as you were talking and you were talking about the different school districts, I had a couple of observations. When you start talking about Tate County with the Senatobia schools and then the county schools, and you talk about Marshall County with Marshall schools and Holly Springs schools, one of those common denominators there is that you've got Senatobia, which compared to the rest of Tate County is a thriving community. The rest of that county is not thriving. And the rest of Marshall County is not thriving as far as what we see as far as activity, you know, the reputation that the schools have and house values, property values, all that kind of thing. So that was one observation that I had. The other one is that in DeSoto County, we don't have just one thriving community. We have several thriving communities and more coming up. You know, you have your big four, which is we call them Olive Branch, Hernando, South Haven, and Horn Lake, but you've got Lewisburg, you've got Lake Cormorant, you've got Walls, you've got all these areas now that are coming up. So we're very fortunate that we have all of these different areas, and all of these areas are supporting our county schools. You don't have one of these cities that's breaking away and saying, I don't like what's going on in our school system, I don't like what's going on in our county, so we're just gonna create our own school system. And I think that that is why Senatobia City schools were born and Marshall schools were born, and we want to talk about Oxford and Lafayette, which we don't really cover, but these areas and these other school districts outside the county, or second county school districts, whatever you want to call them, they were born out of people coming together and saying, we've got to do something different because what we've got's not working. DeSoto County's working, and it's thriving, and we don't have one little area of progress and development and economic development. We have an entire county. So those are the two observations that I had when we were thinking about that topic.
Let me ask you a slightly different question. Talking about thriving. Part of the thriving is people need career education. And I know you've had two career education centers here in DeSoto County for a long time, but you're also giving new emphasis to that in trying to serve. And, talk some about that, about how higher education can help the county thrive economically.
Sure, and I'm just going to go back to the former question really quickly from my point of view. I think that what DeSoto County has done really lends itself, the school district, lends itself to the overall continued economic health of the county. So I just want to say that really quickly, and I think that's super smart what the county has done over the years. We have seen data to suggest, and we know this from our experience, that more jobs, both now and in the future, will require not, some of them will continue to require bachelor's degrees. Like the bachelor's degree I got. It was psychology. It was not very useful. But they will continue to require bachelor's degrees. But the jobs now and in the future will require a short-term type skill-based program that is finely tuned to business and industry needs, what community colleges have. And I'll describe what that is. It could be something as quick as a healthcare assistant certificate that could be offered within 8 weeks. Or it could be a single semester type certification like in welding. Or it could be a year welding certificate. Or it could be a nursing or allied health type program that an individual could get within a year or 2 years. And then go out and work in a great career for the rest of their life. But in the case of my wife, she's a great example. She received a radiologic tech degree many years ago, and then she decided to go back and get her associates in nursing. She worked as an emergency room nurse, got her bachelor's degree through that whole experience, and then just recently, a few months ago, finished her nurse practitioner degree. Now she's a nurse practitioner. A great pathway for those that are in healthcare, but it goes on and on and on. We at the college have seen the most growth over the last few years in career and technical education. I know that there are numbers of students in the DeSoto County schools that are on that type of pathway where they are, in some cases, are on a waiting list, or wanting to get into programming or coding or healthcare or even automotive technology. These programs like our Ag Tech program, this 20-year program with John Deere, where students are leaving that program with an associate's degree, but also being able to make a family sustainable wage. This is huge, where students are able to make $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 beginning in careers. HVAC, a huge career. Construction trades training, collision repair, cosmetology, EMT paramedic, surgical tech. And the list goes on. And this is, again, areas and programs that we have at the community college that continue to grow and continue to be very popular. We grew this last year. The most growth we experienced were in programs like industrial electronics, precision manufacturing, healthcare assistant, practical nursing, and some other allied health programs. Welding is a huge program for students where they're able to get great paying jobs. And so going back, a number of individuals will continue to need, and business and industries need that bachelor's, master's degree. But what we have seen, and as many of y'all bring up experience over the last number of years, in recent years, that we're needing a short-term, skills-based type program that will lead into that family sustainable wage.
We need those.
Yeah, the economy needs that.
Yeah, absolutely. We're seeing a huge shortage in tradespeople. The business that I'm in, we always are looking for repair people. We have clients who need HVAC techs and plumbers and electricians, and it's hard to find a good one, y'all. I mean, it really is. And we need to let kids know now. For so many years, we've focused on you've got to go to college and you've got to get that degree. And now we've got a whole generation of kids with college degrees who, number one, don't have a job in their field, and number two, don't know how to do anything. I mean, they really don't. And we need to focus on these trades and the skills. We're very involved, partners with the Home Builders Association. I've been involved with them for years. And, things like bricklayers and framers and all those type things, trim carpenters, cabinet people, they're dying out. You're not finding anybody new coming into the business, and we need those desperately. It's very hard for us to even keep a handyman that can go into a house and take care of some repairs because they're just not out there.
Cory, we'll go to you. I mean, as Cory said, traditionally the schools
We've had this
have
conversation.
schools have prepared kids to go to college.
Right.
And now we're finding out maybe there's a different need. How can schools shift that way?
Not to discount the A grade that we were talking about a minute ago, but more so than a report card grade, I feel like our job as educators is to prepare students for that next step. Whatever. And there's no way to put a grade on that. And so, whether it be that student who is college bound, that we need to prepare them, for those next 4 years, next two, and
right.
then exactly, and then, or whether it's that student that's going straight into the workforce. We're trying to expose our students to possible careers at earlier ages. Dr. Heindl has done an excellent job of partnering with our DeSoto County Economic Development Council, and we have a career fair this will be the second annual one at the Landers Center in October that's open to our 8th graders. And what we do is we bring every 8th grade student in DeSoto County Schools through the career fair. And it's amazing. And if any of y'all, get a chance to go to it, I mean, it's phenomenal. What they do is that, when I went last year, I thought, to be up there in like the conference hall area and there'd be some booths set up, but I mean, this was real world, hands-on activities. And
Well, I was not going to go till somebody came back and said, there's a helicopter on the floor.
We were in, Dr. Heindl and I both serve on the DeSoto County Economic Council. We had a meeting just the other day, and we were talking there. The one problem that we had with it was that the kids didn't want to leave. I said, wow, what if we had that problem every day in the classroom? So that's a good problem to have, but it was just that they were so involved in it, and the industries, the businesses who came in, they really drew them in and really, tried to look for that passion that they may have. And there may be some students who take a career path that day, or may have dawned on them to start looking into that even more. And so with our career technical education program too, we've got a career technical school on both sides of DeSoto County. We have one on the east side of the county, which serves Center Hill, Olive Branch, and Lewisburg, and then we've got one on the west side of the county, which serves the 5 school zones on the west side. And so we work together through that, and we've got students who go through those programs, and they go straight to Northwest. But we've got students who go through our culinary arts program on the campus in Horn Lake, and we've got restaurants and businesses that will come in and interview them and hire them. They've got jobs waiting on them right like that. Same thing with automotive and other programs that we have. But I was up there one day and saw that going on with the culinary arts program. And so partnering with Northwest and getting the workforce ready, I think is one of our, going back to it, I don't want to discount letter grades, but I feel like our most important task is preparing students for that next step. And even though we want to prepare every student for college, if that's their choice, not every student is going to attend college. So they've got to be ready to be able to earn a good wage and be able to support their family when they leave school.
Thank you. Makes good sense. I want to just think about the whole community aspect of education. This is going to be real rough numbers because we're in 2019, they're not real good estimates of population. But the latest population figures I could find showed that in DeSoto County, there are about 45,000 children ages 6 to 18. About 45,000 ages 6 to 18. About 33 or 34,000 are in public schools. Doing the quick math, that's like 8 or 10,000 children ages 6 to 18 live in DeSoto County, and they're not in the public schools. Now, I don't know where they are. Some of them are probably doing really well, doing something somewhere. Some may be kind of falling between the cracks. And so what do you ever look at, I know you're concerned, you have to be with the schools, but if there's a bunch of kids that aren't in the schools, they're that age, what does that mean for our community, and what do we as a community do about that? You got any ideas?
Well, as when I was principal at DeSoto Central High School, we would have students, for example, who would go to Mississippi School of Math and Science, and they may leave the county. And that's a small number. But when I would talk to those parents about the options that they had, I said, well, you've got to do what's best for your child. And so, to be quite honest, not every family is going to be in DeSoto County schools. There'll be some that want to have a private education. There'll be some private school education that want their child to be in a Christian school environment. They may want their child to be in a homeschool environment, one where they go, half the week to some type of program, and they're being homeschooled the rest of the week. And so, from my perspective, anytime I talk to a family who's considering moving here and they're talking about the schools, and maybe they've gone to private school in Memphis, and now they're moving here and they're thinking about private school, I just tell them to do what's best for their family. I mean, I feel like just like myself with my 2 children, I've got to make the best decisions I can as a parent for them, and I'm never going to discredit any kind of decision that a parent makes if they feel like they can get a better education of what they want. Sometimes even it's an athletic situation. Like we have students that may go to North Point or may go to Magnolia Heights or Tunica Academy. I may be Lake Marshall Academy. Maybe leaving somebody out here. But we have somebody who can go to private schools in Memphis and sometimes they even get recruited at that. And so, I just always tell parents, you've got to do what's in the best interest of your child, and if they're under our care, we'll do the best we can to educate them.
And there's gotta, I mean, I understand what you're saying on that. There are also probably some out there who don't have parents caring for them. They're kind of, I don't know, they dropped out, they're wandering, I don't know where they are and what they're doing, but,
And that's a challenge that we face, especially when they get up to, the age of 17. And, there's not a truancy officer that might be, checking on those students. But we see it more and more, and now, students may go out and get a job, a part-time job or something, and then they get to their senior year. And when I was at DeSoto Central, I felt like I was dragging some students across the finish line. I thought, you've gone to school now since you were in kindergarten. You've got 3 months left. Just come with me, go to some classes, get this done. And, but, it takes everybody working together sometimes. And some of those students that you have to encourage to come here at the very end are the very ones that will come back to you, see you 5 years later and tell you how successful they are, and that reminds you of why you're in the business of education.
Well, that's where we pick up some students on the community college side, actually, that may find themselves in a position later on to say, hey, in order for me to advance, I've got to go back and get that high school equivalency or extra training. And so we have a program called My Best at Northwest Community College where students can get in adult education training, but also get a career type program. And we have a program, a couple of programs. I've already mentioned one of them, the healthcare assistant program, and also just a basic manufacturing certification program. And so students can get that and get adult education that way, and they get their high school equivalency at the same time, which is very, very neat. And so we do find some students sometimes who have made the decision not to finish, and we're trying to help them as well, because I think that's an economic that's an important economic piece to the puzzle in the county as well, which is a student who may be working at a particular situation and then find themselves where they're going to be a manager now or change jobs, and we can assist in that way. So we're trying to help on that side too.
I've asked my questions, now you all can ask your questions.
I have a question about My Best.
Sure.
Is it for DeSoto County? Because from what I understand, My Best is kind of like for the lower economic students who have dropped out, or do you all actively recruit here or in Tate County? Because
Sure. We recruit
I mean, that
all
was my
11 counties.
Yeah, that was my understanding of My Best, because the lower economic areas where the students are from, the lower economic. So you do DeSoto County would qualify for that.
Absolutely, DeSoto County's part of that, and all of the counties are.
Okay.
So, and what we've begun to do is, because the funding for specifically My Best is going away, so what we've been doing at the colleges, we're continuing our adult education programming. We have that everywhere.
Okay.
But we're continuing that, but we're also availing ourselves of other career type programs, things like welding, or a few of the short-term programs that students can get into.
So how many navigators do you have at Northwest with the My Best?
We had 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And like I say, the program itself is going away. It's actually, we've requested additional funding, some external private type funding for it to continue. But even if it doesn't,
It's a
we
good
still have
program
adult
because it has
education.
such good support for those students who may not have the support
Absolutely.
from home and different things like that. I just was not aware that it was available to the students in DeSoto County.
It is.
What age do they have to be?
Um,
Youngest?
So I think they have to be 18, I think, is that, so y'all don't quote me on that, but, and I could get back to you on that, but I think it has to
Well, I know you
be
have to be
past.
18 outside the school district.
Right.
In order to take the ACT, so I was just curious to
Yeah,
hear.
I think it's gotta be a little bit older, right, because it doesn't need to supplement what's
And
taking
it's one
place
thing
in
that we do
the
have
school
in
district.
Southern County Schools is a GED program within the school that we can put some of
That's
those
great.
children that you're talking about.
That's great.
And I had one complete today, he completed it in
That's
4
awesome.
weeks.
What's the age range?
But we can put them in there at 17, and they can test at 17, but school system program.
They can do that with us, but a little bit older. I think you have to be past that
That's what I was curious
school-going
about.
age.
Yes, sir.
To just brief. Hi, I'm Terry. I just moved here and I found my builder through your website.
Oh, great.
I went in,
Awesome.
I got a realtor through the website. I know that kind of messed with my builder. But I live over here and I build in Williamsburg.
Yes.
And the reason why I did that, it's kind of tied to all of it, is reading math proficiencies that I was looking at. My wife is an educator and she just accepted a position at our branch. So she's there now.
Great.
And so I want to let you know you all tie in. I've been waiting for this type of meeting. These are not hard questions. These are just general information just because as I'm an educator and past district administrator, I'm just trying to learn about the area. So basically, when you have your focus on college readiness, particularly within your strategic plan, and I've looked at some other, what data I could find, where are your focuses right now that you're looking at? Just one or two. You don't have to do all of them because we probably have a wide variety that goes through pre-K and other, and I know your board is right here. Don't worry about it. What do you, no, you should never put a soup on in front of a board like that. Just so what do you feel there's gonna be, because I only have like 5 or 6 questions and I'm trying to keep them short. What are like some of your top 2 priorities?
Well, this school year, honestly, is we really concentrate with our principals and our teachers on focusing on our standards.
Okay.
Just with state and building upon that all the way from kindergarten through 12th, and a lot of our accolades that we brag about at Commerce, Chamber of Commerce meetings, things of that nature are high school related because you get into students who win national merit awards or students with ACT scores above 30, whatever it might be. But we talk about building that framework all the way from the time that the students are in kindergarten. And we want those teachers to have the end goal in mind from the very beginning with that. One of the things that we're honestly most excited about the test scores, they may fluctuate one way or another in certain places, but our college and career readiness rankings went up this year as far as our ACT scores and showing that our students are prepared for college. And I really do feel that that is the most important component. Once again, is making sure when those students leave, they're prepared. Another part of that, and talking about the preparedness, is we are offering more and more dual credit classes each year. If I had the exact numbers here in front of me, they almost have doubled each year since 2016, and that's because of the partnership with Northwest, where we've got students now that are graduating from high school with anywhere from 15 to 30 hours of college credit. Some of them are already going into almost their sophomore year of college when they leave high school.
And it costs them a lot less.
Right, it does cost them a lot less, and that's something that Dr. Heindl and I have worked together on to make sure that it's affordable for families to be able to take those classes. Because, and talking about that and going back to career readiness, and what we're focusing on is when we get those students too, we want to make sure we put them on the right path as they're looking at college. Did they need to take dual credit classes, or did they need to take advanced placement classes? Because certain colleges will only take the advanced placement classes.
If they have a career better.
Right, they know that. Right, they know they're going to a 4-year college, right out of college. And so all of our high schools offer a wide variety of advanced placement classes. We also offer a wide variety of dual enrollment classes, and also we have some crossover there to where if we have to send a teacher from one school to another, to make sure and teach it on that campus, so those students have that opportunity to do that too. Because once again, we want those students who are going to be college bound to have the opportunity to earn either advanced placement credits, dual credit, or both while they're in high school.
And so you touched on the second question. Have you guys, particularly with the 15 to 30 plus hours, have you guys talked about having an early college that students can finish with their associate's degree?
We have had that conversation. We are just beginning into that business. We have a pilot program at Oxford School District now. This is kind of like what Gulfport has done at Gulf Coast Community College District and a few school districts around the state. We know that is a valuable program that we believe at the college for students who are highly focused, highly motivated. They have to be like totally on task and can receive pretty much the same time they receive their high school diploma, they can receive their associate's degree from us, that 2 years. So not only will they be ready, as Ms. Russell said, with that first year out of the way, they could potentially get their second year out of the way. And there's some growth opportunity, even more, in our school districts, and DeSoto County schools, if there is interest there, which I think there is some, to be able to do that in some groups, cohorts of students. And we gotta be careful about that, because we don't want to be in a situation where a student is not successful in that. The great news is, though, that they would have received a number of college credits before they graduate high school, which is so valuable. To be able to save that kind of money, a year or 2 years of college is, incredible. So
I helped build one of those programs
So I don't-
in Annapolis, and so
Okay,
even when a
okay,
kid would
great.
leave the program, we were like, oh, they left with 42 credits in college. And we were like,
Yeah.
so you're gonna go for 6 other hours and you're gonna get an associate's degree. So it was really, really wonderful. I'm gonna keep these really short, so good job. You guys are doing really great. Let's see, who are your data people? Like, who is a point of contact that you all trust? Because actually, as leadership and teams, we have lots of people that are there. But who are your data folks that, if we were to ask for just specific numbers and things like that, as a local resident? Because I have 2 daughters in DeSoto County schools now. I just want to know how I need to be navigating them into the system. And I follow the numbers every time I go.
Yeah. So just real quick, at the college, we have a Department of Institutional Research and Effectiveness. We have a director over that department. As you could imagine, just like the school district, we have a lot of accountability that we have to provide, measures and data that we have to provide to the federal government and the state. So they are the ones that are in charge of that, and so we'll be through our director.
Okay. And for,
We have a director of accountability and research. We have a department here.
and do you both have foundations?
We do. We have a
We
foundation.
work with the community foundation here in town.
What's the name of the community foundation?
Community Foundation.
He's a plant.
And I'll
And this
say,
is him.
right, and
Yeah.
I'll say this about the community foundation is, in November, we'll have a grant reception where, they talk to local leaders, businesses, citizens who donate money for grants for teachers. The teachers apply for the grants, and it's one of the best programs that we have all year. It's the support that we get from the community foundation.
Excellent. And let's see.
Did y'all find that one?
I promise you,
Great
and
question.
she can look at my.
It's like a magic trick.
I promise you, I don't lead people down that rabbit hole. So let's see, do you have any preferred community-based organizations that you work with in this regional area? Outside of it, because I know there's a lot of people that probably buy in, but you do everything mostly in-house, which is okay, if you feel like it's more facilitated in-house, or do you work with community colleagues?
We've got a lot of partnerships that we do, but I'll say this, is that like with community service and things of that nature, we leave that up to our individual schools, and the reason I say that is because I want each school to be passionate about whatever their community outreach is. If I as superintendent say, hey, we're gonna go out this year, we're gonna raise money for this organization, or we're gonna partner with this one organization, if it's not their idea, if it's not something they're passionate about, I don't think they're gonna be behind it.
That's how a principal answers. That's how a principal.
But I will kind of kick in here on this one point. The Mississippi Humanities Council has a great program, for instance, through the Horn Lake Library for English as second language, for Spanish-speaking folks. That is a wonderful, wonderful program. I don't know how many support programs there are in the community, but Junior Auxiliary helps kids get ready for school. So a lot of different real kids, home builders, everybody pitches in.
Any talk amongst, because I know as superintendent president, you guys have to go in front of like legislators and different people, and then you report back to the folks. Any talk about programs very similar to like Tennessee Promise or Tennessee Reconnect coming through Governor Bryan's office and other city legislators?
There are candidates currently that are talking about that on the campaign trail, like a free community college,
Or
Tennessee Promise,
yeah.
And so we'll see. They're costly, and I don't know if it fits well for our state. We'll just have to see. Back to the other question, just really quickly. We have tried to this past year partner even more purposefully with our counties, whether that be faith-based organizations, or whether that be our state partners like Mississippi Arts Council, Mississippi Panelists Council. We have just tried to grow our programs and services all throughout the 11 counties that we serve. I purposefully got on and was successful in doing this with getting involved with Leadership DeSoto this year. Incredible program through the Economic Development Council here, and so we've just tried to build relationships, more than we ever have this past year. We'll continue to do.
I have two last questions. The last one is fun because it's going to be beneficial.
1 minute.
Okay.
I always say that because you're going to
Yeah.
Diversity is growing within the area. Is there any points that you all have within your two organizations as a point person that if we have other families that want to come in, is there a person that they can talk to, or it just goes to general enrollment?
Just goes through general enrollment. We've had meetings of, people who've come to us with concerns or just questions in the past and stuff. We've got open doors.
We don't have a specific office at the college but just by really sheer nature of our mission at our institution, we are, just like the school district, inclusive, diverse, and we're trying to make our employment base similar to the students that we serve. And so, just trying to grow that.
They told me 60 seconds. I'm
Okay,
just giving
all
you
right.
this last 10. What do you guys need? Nobody ever comes to these type of meetings and asks you that, but I mean, like, I've had people ask me, I was like, wow, that's really kind of good. What do you all need right now as an institution to continue to grow? Obviously, you need more customers, and probably more. Well, you have customers, but you
We need
you
more
need
inventory.
inventory.
Sell a house.
I would just say the
One that's
continued,
gonna go on
continued
like that.
support from the community that we have now, but we both face funding needs. I mean, I know Northwest I know the community colleges are asking for more funding from the state legislature, just like school districts are. But I really do believe in talking about your wife being a teacher, is that the legislature, what our conversation with them right now are around school safety, which we talked about earlier, and funding for that, and also teacher salaries and addressing the teacher shortage. Less and less people are going into colleges of education. And, by the time that we're all retired, we've got to look out for the future of Mississippi, not just this year or next year, but 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years down the road. We've got to make sure that there's a pipeline of teachers coming in. And right now, that teacher shortage is starting to become real. And that's something that I keep asking our legislators about, because we're going to need some type of incentive to bring those teachers
You
in.
pay twice a month help.
Is it twice as much or twice a month?
Twice a month.
Twice a month.
I know, but
That once a month thing. Can I have a quick comment? I like to say I'm a parent, I'm a lifetime educator, grew up with educators, so I do a lot of the history you were talking about. I want to say that DeSoto County is a proactive county. My daughter, I have two, one graduated 2012 in South Haven High, and one that's a sixth grader at Olive Branch Middle down. When the Literacy-Based Promotion Act was there, DeSoto County probably was one of the only, if not the only, school district that put in places safe fails, that if your child is not reading here at kindergarten, it cannot go on. First grade cannot go on. Second grade cannot go on. So we didn't get the aha moment, because she was in that class. My sixth grader was in the class for the first class that had to make a minimum score of level 2. So I want to say that you guys are good at seeing what comes down the line, and it's not a knee jerk. So I want to say kudos to you guys for being proactive for things that come forward.
That's a really good point. There's so many issues that bubble over education, and we put these guys, Cory and I can point to these folks that run the institutions, but education of our kids is everybody's responsibility. So thanks for coming out, thanks for your interest in that, and working together, maybe we can keep the schools and our education, our kids moving forward. Appreciate you being here.
Thank
And
you.
thank you for the
Thank y'all. And please take